Hi everyone, welcome to day 45. We have built our backend system, created a required APIs, and we have pushed it to the GitHub. Now, what to do next? The next thing, we now shift our focus towards API integration to the front end. Do you remember? We have also built our front end on Vue. If you haven't watched that, you can go at the beginning of this playlist and you can check that we have built our front end application. So now what what we will shift our focus on, we will shift our major focus on API integration to each and every view we have created for our front end application. Like the different views like login view are there, then there was sign up page was there, home page was there, adding post was there, comment was there, notification was there, profile was there. So we will work on each of these part one by one. So for that, let's create an epic. And what need to be there in the epic? That name should be API integration. So there are multiple ways to integrate the APIs. We will look one of those methods. First, for that, let's first create a task and subtask. So first let's do with the API integration. And in API integration, what we will build? We will again build API integration of login first. Uh, and in login, what extra we will do? We will do sign up, then move towards sign up. Then we will move towards profile, smaller one starting first. Then we will do move towards notification. Then home page. And finally comment. That's all. But for that, what we will do? We will set a timeline. Okay, so we have made an error. We will add an epic, and epic name should be API integration. So now let's go to the board. So you can see there is nothing here. So go to the list and see the epic. And now select all of these things and move to this API integration. Parent, parent should be Scrum. '67. Let's remove this and let's try to move it. Or in this, let's make one of these login and then we will start moving. So it is not working like that. So let's remove this. And here we will start doing login, then sign up, and then profile, then notification, then home page, then comment, and finally add post integration. So all of these commands are sprint 4 and will be done by Abhinit. And set the timeline for sprint 4. It will take time, and let's say take till 12th of August. We will give enough time for it because then again we will do some kind of testing and all sort of those things. It will start with login. Sprint 4. We have completed sprint 3 and all of them will be assigned to Avinit because the only person who is working on this project is me. If there are multiple person, we would have divided a task and you can see those things. So now let's start this, and today is 25, so let's finish it by 28, then 30, then there will be on 1, sorry, this one will be 1, this one will be 3, 3 of August, then this one will be 5 of August, then this one will be 7 of August, then this one will be 9th of August, and then we have a buffer time of 3 days for starting the sprint 4. And let's go to a timeline to set this sprint. So we have to now edit this sprint, and that should be finished by yesterday. Starts from today. So now there are multiple tasks that will get started. Now you can see these backlogs. If is there any backlogs, so we can say this sprint has been completed. Now sprint 4 has been started. Sprint goal to integrate the APIs into the front-end system. Now you know everything has been set up. You can see the board, timeline, summary, calendar. You can see the calendar board. Everything has been added. Now you can add a form, create a form here to have a submission or track request, anything, all the sort of those things. But we are not doing all those things. We are just checking the boards and lists. So we are now in the part of API integration. So now let's check the code first. So to remind you, the thing we are here, ironically, we are here to work on again on front end because we have started front end and we left in mid. Why mid? Because we don't have the APIs. If there are two team that is working on front end as well as on back end, so we could have collaborated to go together to have these things. From, let's say, someone will be from front end building the application and someone from the back end creating the APIs and then integration at the same time with the collaboration with them. But now I am the only person working as a back end developer as well as front end developer. So I have to build those things. So I have to take a pause from the front end and then build the back end system, all the APIs, and then front end application again. So this is the progress we made. Now let's let's start with the task. First task to let's start with the API integration. We are going to start it. So mark it in progress, and we will start working with the login. So again, we will mark it this as in progress. So if you had remember, then well and good. If you don't, let me just overview once quickly about this setup. So this is a view application, and in sign up page or in sign in page or basically login page, what we have built our this UI using Tailwind CSS and HTML. We have set up our some sort of CSS as well. Now what we are going to do today, we are going to set up the backend, integrate the APIs. So if required, we can change the UI part as well to show the API data. So let's start. First, we want to do the API part. So what we will do, we will use import Axios from Axios, and we will also import router from view router. Now, if you I have built this just before coming here. So to not to worry, I will let you. I will explain each and every point of code. So let's mark this down. Again, there is nothing, but I don't want to send this in the data. So you know what is this? This is the route we have made. HTTP localhost 5000 is our application running part, and API/login was the thing that takes the input from the in the APIs and sends the result. And now we are making a asynchronous function. Async is an asynchronous function. Okay. So to let you know what is asynchronous and synchronous function. So any function that works based on the special functionality. What is that? That is, let's say you want to run a function, but you don't want other things to be stopped. So at that point of time, you make a function asynchronous. Means that will be running as a background, and other task starts after that. And when it finishes, it come back to again. So that function is known as asynchronous. But in synchronous, it blocks the other part of the code until you finish that part. So you can think in this way that uh, there is a counter and there is a two counter, but you can only use one. So at that moment you are using a synchronous queue, one by one. Then there is a two counter. You have a one line only, but at the end point, if you have one counter busy, you will go to the other counter. Then similarly, both can be passed simultaneously. Both the tasks can be done. And now that process is similar to asynchronous function. So we are using those things to use that. And yeah, now setup is almost ready. So now in the part of what should I say, in the part of our application or in the terminal, we have to run two code. First, let's run the backend. For backend, we have to go backend. We have to activate the virtual environment. And here we have to come to the front end. Now npm install Axios, because that is a required thing here. Now added. So now npm run dev. So now front end is going to be started. And what we will do, we will test it on the test user we have. So now let's begin with the part. Sorry. So now our application is running. So now it is saying unexpected token. I guess this one. And let's check the route first, then router index.js. So it is not loading. So let's check for the error. It is because of this. Now const router equals to use router. Yeah, now you can see it is working. So let's test with the test user. So username was test1 and password was test. Sign in. So now let's see in the console. Why? Because it's Axios error. It says now you can see in the post API login there is a 404 that user not found. So now let's get back to the backend and see the database. Is there any user or not? If there is user, what are the ID? So you can say the name is test and we have right test one. So let's test this again. So now we know that it is working and slash home is not, it is slash, just slash. So again we will use test and test. Now you can see we have ID and access token. First we will see, are we working? So it is going to login failed. Please check credentials because status code is 201 not 20. So now it is moving to that route. After logout we are moving towards that. So we have to make, now if it's working, what we can do, we can store this in the local storage. So set item access token is response. You can see the response was dot data dot access token. So let's see. And now, what if you're wondering what is this local storage means? So to let you know, this is the application part, and you can see here here is the session storage, here is the local storage. So it stores the thing. Let me first do one thing, make it this side view. So here you will store those things which is required for your application. Session storage, uh, local storage is scope is browser, but session storage scope is tab. So if you want something to be so visible to only one tab of the browser, not on the next tab, you will use session storage. But you want the whole browser, that then you will use local storage. For now we are using local storage. We will delve more into it when we are working in the next pages. What are the things required local storage, what are the session storage. So let's do it once again and let's see what is there. Okay, it is showing some error. Okay, so instead of that, it should be like this. So let's clear this. So now it's validated, and let's see what's there in the application part. Access token undefined. Why so? So let's try this again. For that, let's do one thing to let you know how to find those things. Console.log response. We will write response, comma response, and we will not console this. Again, let's go to login, test, and this test. Now response is data, and in that data there is this thing. So now you can see in the application they must have some access token, right? If I would have, instead of local storage, I have used session storage, it will have sent here. So now you know how to work for that. And now one more thing is there. In the component we can add in the sidebar. What we can do when there is a logout part. When there is a login button, router link to this, it has some, it need to have some function. At the rate click is equals to clear data, and that function need to be here. async function clear data. And what does this should contain? uh, what this should does, this will make local storage dot delete. So let's see, delete local storage key value. So it says remove item for access token. That's it. And now this will work. So what will happen now? So to let you know what will happen, let's go to console, clear the console. We are in the application. Now if I click this, you can see there is nothing. And when I log in, there is my access token. So why I have stored it here? So if you remember, in the API, now if I am in the home page or in the notification or in the profile, we require JWT token to validate that user in the session. So to validate in the backend, we require to send it the header again and again, again and again. And you want to store it somewhere that it can be easily accessible at any point of time. So for that, we are storing it here. I hope that is useful to us and useful. You have learned this as well in this session, and we have finished the login part. So let's come back tomorrow and we will start with this sign up part. And I hope you enjoyed the session and you have learned. And do comment, do like, comment, share, and share the friends if you like the concept, you want them to learn this as well. And do let me know what I can improve. Thank you.